so now let's move on to our example number 14. Okay, so in our example number 14, we have to factorize y square minus 5y plus 6 using factor theorem. Okay, now in our previous one, in example number 13, we had done the factorization using our splitting the middle term method. So now we have to use factor theorem and factorize it. So here, the method that we should do is always whenever you're doing using factor theorem, look at the last digit, which is the constant term. Okay, always look at the constant term. Okay, so here the constant term is 6. Now what should you do? We have to find the factors of 6. Okay, factors means what? It is perfectly divisible. So I have written the factors over here. The factors of 6 are plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3. Factors means when you divide it is completely divisible. When you do 6 by 1, it is completely divisible. You will be getting 6. When you do 6 by 2, it cancels. So you will be getting 3. Similarly, if you do 6 by 3 also, you will be getting 2. Okay, so factors means the 6 is completely divisible by all these numbers. So these are the few factors of 6. Now what should we do? Now what should you do is we have to do the trial and error method. The method that we use is called as trial and error. That means we should substitute all these plus 1 in this, check whether we are getting the remainder 0. Okay, if we get remainder equal to 0, it means it is the factor. Similarly, we have to check for everything. That is why it is called as trial and error. We are trying if it is correct or wrong. So first of all, let's check with 1. So if we do p of 1, substitute over here 1 square minus 5 into 1 plus 6. So when you do, you will be getting 1 minus 5 plus 6. Isn't it? We will be getting plus 2, which means that p of 1 is equal to 2. It is not equal to 0, which means that 1 is not the factor. Okay, similarly, you can also check it for minus 1. In minus 1 also, if you do, you will be getting remainder not equal to 0. Now let us check for p of 2. Okay, now let's see for p of 2. P of 2 means put 2 over here. So we will be getting 2 square minus 5 into 2 plus 6. So 2 square means 4. 5 2s are 10 plus 6. So what is 4 minus 10? 4 minus 10 is minus 6. So minus 6 plus 6 is what? 0. Okay. So when we substituted plus 2 over this equation, we got a remainder equal to 0. This means that 2 plus 2 is the factor of this term. Okay, so whenever they are asking you for the factor, we know we got x is equal to what? We got x is equal to 2. So when in order to get it into the standard form, we have said in our factor theorem, that is we have to write it in the x minus a form. So bring this 2 to the other side, so we will be getting x minus 2. Okay, so x minus 2 is the first factor. Okay, so when we put p of 2, we got remainder equal to 0. So we got x is equal to 2. So bring this 2 to the other side. So we got x minus 2 as the first factor. Now similarly, what should you do? Substitute minus 2 also over here. P of minus 2, put minus 2 over here, minus over here, and just calculate and see whether you are getting it or not. Okay. So if you do also, you will be not getting equal to 0. Now let us move on to plus 3. So p of 3 if you do, you will be getting what? 3 square minus 5 into 3 plus 6. 3 square means 9 minus 15 plus 6. So 9 minus 5 is what? Minus 6 plus 6. Again you will get this p of 3 is equal to 0, which means the remainder is equal to 0. Okay, so from here we can write x is equal to 3. Bring this 3 to the other side, so you will be getting x minus 3. Okay, so this will be your final answer, x minus 2 into x minus 3. This is the factorized form of this is the factorization of this given polynomial. Okay, so this is basically based on trial and error. Okay, when we substitute this plus 1 over here, just check whether we are getting 0. substitute minus 1 also, check whether we are getting 0. Substitute plus 2 whether we are getting 0. Substitute minus 2 whether we are getting 0. Substitute plus 3 whether, and check like that. That is why we call it as trial and error. We have seen that, so it is basically based on trial and error. So after that, whatever value you are getting, write it in the standard form, that is of x minus a form. So x minus 2 into x minus 3 is the factorized form. Okay, so this is the way in which we do factorization using our factor theorem. Okay, I hope it is clear. Okay, so now let's see how will we do factorization of a cubic polynomial. Okay, so we can understand it with our example number 15. The question is factorize x cube minus 23x square plus 142x minus 120. Okay, so you should remember whenever we are doing factorization of a cubic polynomial, the first factor we will find using a factor theorem, and the other two factors we will find by splitting the middle term method. Okay, so let's see how will we do. First of all, we know according to the factor theorem, always look at the constant. The constant is minus 120. So you should see what are the factors of 120. Now even if you see your textbook, all the factors are written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, 20, 24, 30, 60. Okay, but you don't need to write all those factors of 120. In most of the cases, whenever cubic polynomial is given to you, the factors will be either 1 minus 1 or plus 2 minus 2. Okay, you don't need to write all the factors and all. Okay, so but usually it will be plus 1 minus 1 plus 2 and minus 2. Okay, so let's see. First of all, let us find for plus 1. Okay, we are doing the trial and error over here. So I am doing p of 1 over here, which means I should do 1 cube minus 23 into 1 square plus 142 into 1 minus 120. So we know 1 minus 23 plus 142 minus 120. So 1 minus 23 is what? Minus 22 plus 142 minus 120 is what? 22. So we know minus 22 plus 2 is equal to 0. Okay, so first trial itself we got a correct one. Okay, so here since we got the value of polynomial equals 0, we can say that the remainder is equal to 0 when x takes the value 1. So from here we can say x is equal to 1. So in order to write the factor, it should be of the form x minus a. So bring this x to the other side. So from here we will be getting x minus 1. Okay, so this x minus 1 is your first factor. Okay, so the first factor of this polynomial is what? X minus 1. Okay, now since we got that, now if you want you can try with minus 1 plus 2 and minus 2 also. Okay, but you won't be getting this equal to 0. In our first trial itself, when we substituted the value for x for 1, we got the value of the polynomial equal to 0. Okay, so we got our first factor as x minus 1. Okay, so now for our second factor, what should we do is we have to divide this x minus 1 with this x cube minus 2x square plus 142x minus 120. So since x minus 1 is this one factor, now in order to get the other factor, we have to divide x minus 1. Okay, we have to do the division. So x minus 1 we are dividing it with x cube minus 23x square plus 142x minus 120. Okay, now this division you can either do in the long division and find the quotient. Otherwise, I have told you a simpler method, if you remember. Okay, that will be much simpler, or else the question will become too much lengthy. So in order to save time in your exams and all, you can use the simple method here. Okay, so let's see what should we do first. First of all, take this x minus 1, the divisor, equate it to 0. So from here we will be getting x is equal to plus 1. X is equal to 1. Now what is our next step? Write this 1 over here. Then what should we do? We have to write the coefficient of the dividend. So 1 minus 23, 142 and minus 120. Okay, isn't it? Now what is our next step? Our next step is write this 1 as it is over here. Then what should you do? 1 into 1. We have to multiply this number with this number. So 1 into 1 is plus 1. So minus 23 plus 1 is what? This minus 22. Now we should again multiply. 1 into minus 22 is what? Minus 22. Okay. Now we have to add. So we have to add 142 plus minus 22. Okay. So when we add, we will be getting plus 120. Okay, now we have to multiply this 1 with this 120. So 1 into 120 is what? This plus 120. Now we have to add this 120 minus 120 plus 120. So when we add minus 120 plus 120, what will we get? 0. Okay. So from here we can write remainder is what? Our remainder is equal to 0 and our quotient will be x square minus 22x plus 120. Isn't it 1 degree less? So from here we will be getting x square minus 22x plus 120. Okay. Okay. So this is the next step. Now after this what should we do? We have got one factor is equal to x minus 1. In order to get the other two factors, you have to factorize this quadratic polynomial by using splitting the middle term method. Okay, so we have learned how to do splitting the middle term. You can just see. So first of all, what should we do? We have to find the sum. So here sum will be the middle term, which is equal to minus 22. Okay, then we have to find the product. So the product will be what? The last number into the coefficient of first number. So 120 into 1 which is what? 120 itself. That when we multiply we should get 120 and when we add we should get minus 22. Okay, so we know 12 into 10 if you do, you know 12 into 10 is what? This 120. Now if you do 12 plus 10, we know 12 plus 10 is what? 12 plus 10 is equal to 22. Okay, so we can see this is the 12 and 10 are the numbers, but if you see here we are having minus 22. So in order to get minus 22, what can we do? We can put a minus over here and minus over here, isn't it? So when we do minus 12 into minus 10, we will be getting plus 120. And similarly, minus 12 plus minus 10 we will do, you will be getting minus 22, isn't it? Okay, so the two numbers that we should take in order to split the middle term is minus 12 and minus 10. Minus 12 and minus 10. Okay, now what should we do? We have to split the middle term. So x square minus 12x. Isn't it? We have to put an x term when we split it. So minus 12x minus 10x plus 120. Okay. We have splitted minus 22x as minus 12x minus 10x. Okay. I hope it is clear. Now what should we do? What is our next step? We have to group it up and we have to take something common. So we can take this as one group and we can take this as the second group. Okay, so from here if you see, we can take one x common out. Isn't it? If I take one x common, here I will be having x minus 12. Isn't it? Because when you open the bracket, you will be getting x square minus 12x. Whenever you take something out of the bracket, you should see when you are opening the bracket whether you are getting back the same quantity. Okay, so now here what can we do? Here we can take minus 10 out. Okay, we can take this minus 10 common. Okay, so when I take minus 10 common, here I will be getting x. Now plus 120. Since I have taken minus outside, when I open the bracket, in order to get a plus, here also I should take a minus over here. Okay, now 120, we know 12 into 10 is 120, so I am writing 12 over here. Now you just observe here itself, when you open the bracket you will be getting minus 10x, minus into minus is plus, plus then 10 into 12 is 120. So when you open the bracket you should be getting back the same quantity. Okay, now how will you check whether you have done the correct splitting of the middle term? The numbers inside the bracket should be the same. So here if you see the numbers inside the bracket is the same one. Okay, so this means that now what should we do? We can take, since x minus 2 is common to the both, we can take x minus 2, x minus 12 common. So x minus 12 I have took it. Then what is left with you? This x and this minus 10, so group them. So x minus 10. Okay, so now we have got our other two factors also. This is our second factor and this is our third factor. Okay, so what was the first factor? First factor we had find it using factor theorem, and the second one we had used we had found out by the long division. Okay, so this factor is found out by factor theorem. Okay, and the other two should be found out by the long division. So our final factorization answer, you can write the final answer. You can write, take this x minus 1, which is the first factor, into x minus 12 into x minus 10. Okay, this is your final answer. Okay, so this is your final answer. X minus 1 into x minus 12 into x minus 10. Okay, so this is the way in which we should do the question. Factors. So you should remember, a cubic polynomial will always have 3 factors, while a quadratic polynomial will have 2 factors. What should we do? We have to just multiply all the 3 factors together. First factor into second factor into third factor. So this will be the final factorized answer, or the factorized form of x cube minus 23x square plus 142x minus 120. Okay, so I hope it is clear. I hope all the things that we have discussed in our class today are clear. So now we will meet in our next class with a new topic. Please like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you.